Does it drive you mad when people signal really late? Or sometimes when they don't even bother whatsoever? In this video we're going to have a look at how much it actually affects you in different situations and maybe what you can do to improve your signalling.
An integral part of learning to drive is the use of mirror signal manoeuvre, or the MSM routine. Now, I get that, it is an important part, but for me there's not enough emphasis on the look part. It's as if pupils, when they learn to drive, as long as they just follow things in that order, they're okay. You actually need to look in your mirrors to time signals correctly. If someone was really close, you may decide to put your signal on earlier. And I hear too often when I'm assessing instructors the question, which mirrors are you going to check? For me, pretty irrelevant. You need to be aware of your surroundings and actually looking for what's required. Take effective observation rather than just going through the process of just checking your mirrors. And this is the first bit which actually causes most problems with people signalling. It's the fact that people just go through the routine and there's not enough emphasis on the look part. So is it this religious use of mirror signal manoeuvre which actually causes a few of the problems? Well, in my opinion, yes it is. Mirror signal manoeuvre doesn't actually mention a head at all. Now, does it help people in front of you when you signal? Of course it does. And that's often another thing that leads to problems out on the road. People just checking the mirrors and just signalling for people behind. And there's loads of situations throughout our daily drives where people in front need to know what we're doing also. Alright, so let's have a quick think just who our signals help at the roundabout. Well, I'm going to turn right. So the right signal helps a couple of people here. It helps this lorry behind us know that he's going to have plenty of room in the road that he's going. And it doesn't help the van to my right that's coming off. It actually helps the people coming onto the roundabout from the opposite direction. So this white Jeep, it helps. It tells them I'm coming around in front of them. Now my left signal helped the Audi. If I was there a little sooner, it would have helped that Audi know that I'm coming into this junction, and therefore it can emerge out. Signals aren't always for people behind you. Think about in front also. I think maybe a video like I've done over the past month or so about me driving and showing what I would do in these situations might be useful on signals. If you think that's the case, let us know down in the comments and I'll oblige, of course. Another major bugbear for me is how pupils are taught to signal for the driving test. Now, there's a couple of reasons for this. They're taught maybe to signal more often, and that actually sticks with people. I see in the comments all the time, even stuff that I've done recently on my own motorway driving. People are saying, why not signal in case you've missed something? Now, I can't think of anything worse, to be honest. So you're going to rely on signalling in case you don't look. Okay, when you're crossing roads then, rely on the other cars stopping for you and just walk out. It can't be like that. To make a good driver, you need to change what you're doing to suit your surroundings. And all effectively people are doing by signalling all the time is making the look more redundant, which is dangerous. So try and put the signals on as and when you need. But I also understand it from an instructor's perspective as well. When they're training someone to go towards driving test, it's sort of a business decision as well. We could get people better and better and better and more observant. But then they're going to go to the next driving school down the line because they're going to say, Ashley wants maybe 45, 50 hours to teach me to drive, and the other person in the next street can do it for 30 hours. And people will always take that cheap option. And that, for me, is a big problem. Me personally, I don't let people take an easy option. They know if they're coming to learn to drive with me, they're going to be taught properly. But it's a little bit different for me. I've been doing the job many, many years, and I've got a team of instructors who effectively work under my banner. So I also encourage them to try and take this same sort of route with it, this same stringent, we're going to teach you to drive properly. But it's not always possible for instructors. Instructors might be a little bit short on work, and they might be trying to do the cheapest job just to try and get these customers in. But that doesn't lead to good standards on the road. Another thing which is a problem for me is examiners' frame of mind on certain things like this. I remember a number of years back, I had one of my inspections. I get inspections to teach driving instructors because I'm on the audit register. And I had one of these inspections where the senior guy from the DVSA was sat in the back, and he questioned me on why I told my candidate to be putting a left signal on when doing a T-junction when no one was about. And my response was, well, I cannot trust all your examiners are going to be of that same higher way of thinking. And he sort of like shrugged his shoulders, and it was sort of like in admittance that not everyone is going to be of that standard. And that's even some of the driving examiners. So that then unfortunately leads instructors to then make people signal regardless. And that's unfortunate because, again, that goes back to what I'm saying about it detracts from people's observation. What you should do, you should be observant enough to know when you're signalling and who to and how it's going to help others. And then you'll be a good driver. Another thing that people tend to be a little bit misplaced with signals is that they think the signal gives them the right to do that particular action, and that's not the case. Signals show our intentions, or what we would like to do, not what we are doing. So if that's the case, if signals do show our intentions, you need to put the signals on way before you do these particular actions. Let people have a chance to see the signal and then act off it. Just for example, I'm doing the left turn here. I can't signal just yet because there's a couple of side roads. So I'm showing my brake pedal first. And now I'm indicating. And that signal is on for a number of seconds to allow this Jag behind, this silver car, to actually act off what I'm doing. They need to know not which direction I'm going, but actually the fact that I'm going to be slowing down, and I know I'm turning left. Let me just try and clarify that. Yes, they need to know we're turning left, but it's not the actual fact that I'm turning left which aids the car behind. It's the fact that knowing I'm turning left, I'm going to be slowing down, and therefore they have to slow down. So the signal isn't always how people perceive it and how people make it out. But just remember that the signal shows our intentions. It's not a case of putting a signal on, therefore I can do it, which we see quite often. For me though, the main reason why people do that is because they actually grip the wheel as they signal. If you just relax your hands, if you hold with your right hand and let go with your left to put the signal on, you're not going to move that steering wheel. If you're holding the wheel as you signal or gripping too tight, your car's moving as you put that signal on, which then renders that signal utterly useless. You may as well not bother with it. Okay, this is another bugbear of mine, that people think that they have to steer and signal when they're going around bends. There's been a few comments on this particular junction because it's on one of the other videos that I did, and people said, but you didn't signal there. I'm taking the road ahead. If people really think that I need to signal, it will tell that grey Ford Focus that I'm going to turn right in front of him. You don't need to signal to move your steering wheel like some people think. However, a left signal will now help the Ford know that I'm going in here, and if it was clear, he's then got time to emerge. So people, you don't need to steer and put your indicator on. People always do it on roundabouts. Have a look at this taxi driver. What will that actually make other people think?
So, I'm approaching a roundabout and 2 lanes are going ahead, and this taxi in the left side decides to right signal. This does a couple of things. It makes me think, is he going to come further round and has he got into the wrong lane? So I now have to hold back. To be fair to him, he has swapped to a left signal at a pretty good time, but if he had kept his right signal on, the Virgin van and all the cars waiting would have thought he was going to come round further. Quite simply, he wasn't turning right at the roundabout, and you don't have to signal to steer round a bend.
So now let's have a little look at a few examples of poor signalling maybe out on the road, but we're also going to look at how much it really affected the driver and whether there's other things that you can actually look out for that then allows you to understand whether that signal was really affecting you. Because if you're really good, you can actually cope with the people who signal poorly, and there's no reason for you to be pointing a finger and go, they didn't signal.
So let's start off with one of the clips that I showed at the start of the video, this black 4-wheel drive. Now first of all, its position's out to the right hand side, and now it's going to start to brake. And as the car in front of it gets going again and the black one still keeps braking, we know it's turning, even without a signal. It still would have helped though. This clip is totally different though. Again, it's one of the ones from the start of the video. This taxi should be right signalling. Its position is awful. It could very well be dropping off, and some people may think that they can go round it. It's a good job my pupil was more aware than the taxi driver. This bus driver does a terrible job of signalling. He's signalling left, starts to move, and then puts his right signal on, all for one click. But even though his signals were terrible, his movement and his positioning enabled me to deal with it easily. And what conclusions can we draw? Well, simple. He doesn't observe very well. Here's another example of a pointless signal. It was easily dealt with because we're keeping space and we're not just staring at the back of the car in front of us. This is a classic case of people thinking they don't need to signal because they're not steering. This car coming from the opposite direction is going to go over the bridge where I've just come from, but the road bends round to their right. They need to left signal, and if they had have done, I could have probably moved a little earlier. Okay, the next 2 clips are of the same crossroad. This one is poor signalling. Look at the car far from the opposite side and look how late it puts the signal on. If it had done that earlier, I could have got him away a lot sooner. Take 2, but this time with a good signal. Far from the opposite direction again, the last vehicle is the van, and the van puts a right signal on, nice and early, giving me plenty of time to understand when my gap is approaching. Good job. Also, do you think my signal helped this guy on the left?
Now, I hope that's made you slightly question certain things about your own driving, because honestly, that is the intention of this video. It's not to criticise. My videos are never there to criticise. They're hopefully aimed at being thought-provoking for people, make people think about what they're doing, and it's that then which is going to lead to improvement in driving standards. But as always, everyone, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you all soon.